I'm male 32, moved into this neighborhood 2 months ago. The neighborhood's busy with many activities and events. I have a next-door neighbor named Steve, from what I'd noticed. Steve has an important place among the neighbors. He's conservative and somewhat influential, if this is the right word. So anyway, Steve keeps inviting me to participate in events, but I tell him I'm busy. I work long shifts as a nurse, and he seems to get personally offended whenever I decline. He was nice about it at first, and then he started spreading rumors about me being agonistic, introverted, and antisocial. So I ignored him. Then he started complaining about everything I do or don't do, like my front door cam, the lights in my driveway, the garage, the dog, and the list is endless. I had a stern conversation with him in front of the other neighbors last week, telling him to leave me alone and stop complaining to the neighbors about me for no reason. He said something about how he was making sure to include me in the events and try to get me to avoid any violations about lights and pets. I said thank you, but I needed to be left alone. Apparently, I made him angry because he sent me a private text, basically berating me for calling him out on harassment in front of the neighbors. He then cussed me out. Here's what he said. No one likes you in the neighborhood anyway. You are an inconsiderate slob and stupid. Just go away. You won't be missed, and no one cares about you or your pathetic dog. I was shocked that this type of word choice came from a religious dude like him. I had it. I took a screenshot and shared it with the neighborhood group chat. There was silence on their end, but Steve came over this morning lashing out about how I'm trying to ruin his reputation in the neighborhood and turn the neighbors against him by sharing a private text that only I was meant to see. He yelled about how he couldn't even show his face at church. I argued with him and then told him to buzz off and shut the door. I went to work and that was the last time we spoke. However, I did get a couple of calls from some neighbors about it, which makes me think maybe I shouldn't have shared the text. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. One should never assume that a text is private. The neighborhood needed to know what kind of person he really was and what he was putting you through. I'm basically trying to ruin his reputation in the neighborhood. Character is who you are. Reputation is who people think you are. This was just a correction of their perception of him. It's been 2 months, and this guy's already this far up in your business? My goodness, Steve needs a hobby. But honestly, watch your back to ensure he can't harm your dog. Regularly check your yard for food. It's happened more than once when a disgruntled person leaves poisoned food out for pets. He sounds vicious and will probably try to escalate. I get the feeling that many neighbors already know what this guy's like. They're just too afraid to make waves, have the same beliefs as him, or don't care. Regardless, OP is not wrong in this situation for calling out the bullying, but OP does need to tread carefully and document everything Steve says in case something does happen. Yeah, why would anyone expect the religious guy to be considerate, sane, thoughtful, or caring? From my experience, the solid Christians are the most judgmental, hypocritical, malicious, and duplicitous creatures on earth. OP involved the police. That kind of text likely qualifies as a hate crime. I highly recommend you take measures to protect your safety. I'm getting some Dateline episode in the making vibes from this. Someone like this, who's unstable and is easily embarrassed and prone to viewing himself as a victim, is a serious problem waiting to happen. Please be careful and do not underestimate the kinds of behaviors people are capable of. My male 28, parents have never been together in my lifetime. My dad 51 and stepmom 50 have 2 kids, teen male, female 18. My mom 52 and stepdad 53 also have 3 kids, female 21, female 20, and teen male. They're all half-siblings technically, but I always regard them as my brothers and sisters. My parents live 1,000+ miles apart, so there's only been twice in my life that I've had my whole family together. Thankfully, my parents are on good terms, though. My fiance, female 34, and I are getting married on Sunday, this Thanksgiving weekend. The date was decided 2 years ago, and our parents were consulted. The rehearsal dinner is Friday, 2 days before the wedding, and will be a traditional Thanksgiving dinner. This is important to us as the actual wedding day because the whole point was that this would be the only Thanksgiving dinner with all of my parents and siblings together. The same thing on my fiance's side. She also has a split family and has never had Thanksgiving with all of them together. My father has known this for the past 2 years. He's taken no real interest in the wedding, though, has offered no financial help or help planning. A few times, he's even had to ask me to remind him of the wedding date. That probably gives you a sense of how involved he's been. Despite this, I've kept him updated throughout the wedding planning. Traditionally, the groom's family hosts the rehearsal dinner, but since my father didn't offer, we're hosting, and I never expected my mother to host since she lives much further away from me. Invitations went out to all of our guests about 6 weeks ago. So today my father called to tell me that my sister's high school graduation is on the same night as my wedding rehearsal, so they won't be attending my rehearsal dinner. I was stunned. Where I went to school, graduation was always in the summer. He explained that at her school, it's always Thanksgiving weekend. I didn't say anything. I was in such shock. I wanted to shout, if graduation is always Thanksgiving weekend, then why didn't you tell me this 2 years ago when we were deciding dates? I ended the conversation quickly without saying much more than, thanks for letting me know. But after processing it, I'm so angry. I feel betrayed. After 2 years of talking about my wedding, how did none of them, my father, stepmother, sister, or brother, bring this up before now? After all the invitations have been sent, vendors booked, plans made. Maybe I'm being petty and ridiculous, but since they knew graduation at our school is always Thanksgiving weekend and said nothing for 2 years about the conflict, it's their mess up, and they should stick to their commitment to attend the rehearsal dinner. Would I be the idiot for asking them to skip my sister's high school graduation ceremony to attend my wedding rehearsal? Yeah, you would be the idiot, because you're not hurting your parents or step-parents. You'd be hurting your sister, who's entirely innocent in this. Plus, it's just rehearsal. It's not like they're missing the wedding itself. You can reschedule a rehearsal more easily than forcing a high school to reschedule a graduation ceremony. Info: have you asked your sister when her graduation is being held? Have you Googled her school to make sure he's telling the truth? I've never heard of a graduation Thanksgiving weekend, ever. High schools generally only have one ceremony at the end of the school year. If you graduate early, you usually don't walk unless you want to walk with everyone else in May or June. So I don't believe a high school would ever hold a graduation ceremony on Thanksgiving weekend. The teachers would riot. They would never give up their break. Thanksgiving falls in the autumn for all countries that celebrate it. Where the heck does the school year end at that time of the year? I feel like that makes it worse, though. If Dad is telling the truth, OP is right to be furious that they neither planned nor informed. But if OP has to do detective work and finds out that they lied, that's a whole other level of BS. You can't win this one, but like many people, I am wondering what high school graduates at Thanksgiving, unless it's an alternative school or an early or late graduation at the end of the term, leading into the holiday break. Even if the date slipped your dad and stepmom's minds, wouldn't they be planning a little party for your sister and invite you as well? Clearly, they were not thinking about you and your wedding. Try not to waste any more energy on hashing it out with them, as their actions have spoken for them. Don't meet any excuses or justifications with fury, ultimatums, or dramatic grandstands. Sometimes we just can't get the love we want. I met this coworker, Christian, who was nice and all, but made comments about my body and how severely underweight I am. My weight is low due to health issues. He'd say stuff like, I like everything about you except the weight thing, or say, you need to do something about this weight problem. He might be into me or something because of his behavior, and I don't know. He seemed nice and sweet, and I kind of liked the attention. He started bringing me donuts every day and telling me to eat them with my coffee. I don't like to eat in the morning generally, only drink coffee. I told him I'm not a breakfast person, but he insisted, saying he saw them at the bakery and thought of me, so he thought he'd bring me some. I thought that was nice and thoughtful, since I'm often an afterthought and no one brings me anything nice. Days ago, I was passing some female coworkers and overheard one of them refer to me and say, "Oh, this is the one Christian talked about." I turned to her and asked her to clarify. We talked and she told me that Christian brings me donuts every day because he said he wanted to fatten me up so he could ask me out in 3 months. I was dumbfounded. I tried confirming what was said, and she said she was willing to face him with this statement. I felt so enraged and humiliated, but I didn't say anything. I just stayed calm and collected. The next morning, he showed up with more donuts and put them on my desk. He tried to start a small talk, but I got up, took his donuts, walked up to the trash and dumped them right in front of him and everyone else. He looked at me shocked, asking what I was doing. I looked at him and said that I was not an item for him to customize and told him that if he brought me one more donut, I'd report him immediately. He was in shock but then walked out for a while. I got weird judging stares from the others, who then told me that I hurt Christian's feelings and made him look like he was doing a bad thing when it was just a thoughtful gesture. I told them about what he said regarding my weight, but they said I could have handled this differently. They also said I went overboard with the reporting threat. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Your colleagues were correct. You made him look like he was doing a bad thing. And this was, of course, because he was doing a bad thing. This is harassment and likely against your workplace policies. Document every time he says something to you and keep reporting him. My mouth was hanging open in shock through this. Christian needs reporting regardless. That is not okay behavior at work and could lead to his company being rightfully sued up the wazoo for clear and outright harassment. The comments about your weight alone are entirely unacceptable in the workplace. Some people cannot take no for an answer, and occasionally, an act helps. You didn't throw the box at him. You didn't throw the donuts at him. The man is not nice. Those were not thoughtful gestures, and he's likely a controlling idiot in a relationship. Be glad you dodged that bullet. I, 32 female, have a son called Toby, pre-tween. Joby has juvenile arthritis. Sometimes he has to use a cane, sometimes he doesn't. But overall, there are many high activities he can't do because it's in his knees. We do our best to give him a wider scope, but there will always be certain things he can't do, and we've accepted that. I have 4 siblings, all of whom have at least one child. My parents decided they wanted to take me, them, my siblings, our kids, and our spouses on a family trip, which they were going to plan out certain activities, etc. We had a group chat for the trip, so people were sending their idea suggestions there. There was some stuff Toby couldn't do, but I didn't expect him to be able to do everything anyway. When they made the final schedule, most of it didn't accommodate Toby. Rock climbing, abseiling, hiking, orienteering, and cliff jumping. This really annoyed me because they're very aware of the fact that Toby has an illness, and there were plenty of other activities that we all could have done. There were more activities that he was able to do than ones he wasn't, yet it's like they chose every sport in the damn book that he was incapable of. I told them that the fact that they booked all of this without even consulting me first, or considering my son, shows that this trip wasn't worth it and that I wouldn't be going. My husband agrees with me on this front, since he was only going for Toby anyway. I've been called selfish and immature, and that it's a family trip and it's about spending time with each other and having fun. That there were other things Toby could do, about 2 things. So I feel the need to clarify. I'm not annoyed that they chose high activity sports. I'm annoyed that the majority of what they decided on are high activity sports. I told them I hoped they'd enjoy their trip, but I'll be doing something else with Toby. They've been consistently messaging me, saying I'm spoiling the fun and taking family time away from Toby and everyone else. I don't know, I don't think I'm in the wrong, but I want some outsider perspective. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. You're taking family time away from Toby while they choose all the activities he's unable to do? Right. It would have been a lot of fun for your poor child to watch others do stuff he cannot do. Every child likes to be excluded, right? They love being the outsider, right? Sarcasm, of course. I think you did the right thing. If it was about spending time together and having fun as a family, they should have tried to find something to do. Instead, they chose to book things that would exclude your little family. That's what I call selfish. Toby will not have fun watching his cousins have fun while sitting along the sidelines. So what family time are they talking about there? They could have put a little thought about his needs into their plans and chose not to, so they don't get to guilt trip you for not going. Protect your son. How much fun would he have on this trip? I'm guessing none. What is he expected to do while they're off doing things he can't? If it were a true family trip, as they claim, all family members would be included and accommodated. You, your son, and your husband should plan a trip with just the three of you that you can enjoy. My 35 female, husband 41, is extremely angry with me. My husband works from home and I work outside the home. His mom comes to our house a few times a week to help my husband take care of our child. Yesterday, while she was at our house, she cooked up some stir-fried beef, left it in our fridge, and went home as usual when I got back from work. It was the first time she'd ever cooked something for us like this, although I've eaten her cooking at family gatherings at her home. At dinner time, my husband pulled the beef out of the fridge. I'm not a huge fan of this particular dish, but I ate some and casually said, not bad. He was shocked that I would say something dismissive about his mother's cooking. He went on a rant about how rude I was being. I was disrespecting his mom. No one else has ever talked about his mother so disrespectfully. And if anybody else were to say something negative about his mom, he would cut them out of his life. I tried to explain to him that my comment had nothing to do with his mom as a person. Honestly, I was just surprised to find that the beef was better than I expected, and the words that came to me were not bad. Unfortunately, he's convinced that I don't respect his mom. I have never said anything bad about my mother-in-law's character, personality, etc. I have never had a conflict with her. I have never badmouthed her to my husband. I have felt some irritation here and there with minor differences in approaches to raising a child, for example, but I've kept it to myself. Maybe my husband has picked up on that. But if she'd been at the dinner table with us, I probably would have said something a little nicer about the dish or said nothing. My husband has been building up resentment and convincing himself that I hate his mom due to some little spats he and I have had in the past few weeks about various household chores that are tangential to his mom being here during the day, but nothing directly about her. I apologize for coming across as rude and not showing more appreciation for his mom's cooking for us. Unfortunately, he's still angry and is now giving me the silent treatment. So, was I wrong to say not bad? Should I have been more appreciative? Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. You said nothing wrong. Your husband is still tied to his mother's apron strings. You weren't commenting on his mother at all. You were commenting on a dish. People are allowed to like and dislike different foods without reflecting on who prepared said food. You said it wasn't bad. How was that in any shape or form rude? His reaction was very over the top, and it's really suspicious, to be honest. You have something else going on here. Yeah, I suggest marital counseling ASAP. This is a sign of a huge issue. This isn't just about your comment. Something bigger is happening, even if it's only on his end. I'd bet money that during the days when his mom is there helping, she's putting these ideas in his head about you hating her. Why isn't your husband able to take care of his kid alone? Besides child rearing and cooking, what else is his mama doing for him? I just had a similar thing happen. For 4 years, I got along great with his mom, or so I thought. Then he and I agreed on something and she didn't like it, and he blamed me. The last time I saw him was just over 2 weeks ago, when he broke up with me, right after Mother's Day.